You can't see it now, but every hour you spend learning, every failure, every doubt is turning you into something powerful. Knowledge and skill are gold, a currency you'll someday use to buy freedom. You might not feel it, but you're changing. You're rewiring your mind. You're laying the foundation. And one day, something incredible will grow from it.
Robert Greene didn't start as the author of the 48 Laws of Power. He started as a man who was lost. He left college with a degree in classical studies, ancient Greek and Latin, languages that had survived thousands of years, carrying the wisdom of empires and philosophers. He admired that permanence, that sense of legacy. He wanted to create something like that, words that would outlive him. But when he entered the real world, he found that nobody was waiting for a philosopher or a classicist. He needed to survive. He needed a job. So he turned to journalism, the obvious path for someone who could write. It gave him structure, deadlines, pressure, the art of capturing attention in a single sentence. But deep down, it wasn't him. He would write an article, see it printed, and within a week, it would disappear, buried beneath 100 new headlines. All that effort, all that thought, gone in days. For a man who thought in centuries, it felt meaningless. He wanted to write something that would last, something that someone might read in 1,000 years, the way he read the ancients. But he didn't know what that was yet. So he quit. He walked away from the safety of a career and stepped into uncertainty. He packed his life into a backpack and began to wander across Europe, London, Paris, Ireland, and Greece. He lived in tiny apartments, sometimes broke, often alone. He taught English in Spain to pay rent, took odd jobs, and kept telling himself he was a writer, though he had nothing to show for it. He tried to write novels, poured himself into stories that never quite worked. The pages piled up, but none of them felt alive. He lacked discipline, he lacked direction. And slowly, that aimlessness began to turn into something darker. A quiet, heavy depression. He'd spent years chasing a dream he couldn't define. He was haunted by the sense that he was wasting his potential, that the years were slipping away. He looked around and saw friends with careers, stability, and families, while he floated from one country to the next, uncertain of who he was or where he was going. But here's the thing. Even in that wilderness, something invisible was forming. Every failed novel, every article, every long night wrestling with words was training him, sharpening instincts he didn't yet know he was building. He was learning to observe people. He was learning how power moved through the world, quietly, subtly. He was learning how to tell stories that gripped the mind. Brick by brick, failure by failure, Robert Greene was building the foundation for the writer he would one day become. But beneath the surface, something was happening, quietly, invisibly, like roots growing in the dark. Every article he
Greene often says that learning doesn't just change your life, it changes your brain. It's not a metaphor, it's biology. He once spoke about a UCLA neuroscientist named Jeffrey Schwartz, a man who worked with patients suffering from obsessive-compulsive disorder. Most treatments at the time relied on medication or talk therapy, but Schwartz took a different path. He believed that the human mind was not fixed, that through conscious effort, thought itself could reshape the brain. He taught his patients to redirect their focus, to catch themselves in the grip of their compulsions, and to deliberately shift their thinking elsewhere. It wasn't easy. It took immense awareness and repetition. But over time, something remarkable happened. Brain scans showed visible change, new neural pathways forming, old ones weakening. The mind, through sheer effort and attention, was rewriting its own physical structure. That discovery struck Greene deeply. It confirmed something he had always suspected. The power of learning and discipline isn't just psychological, it's physical. Every hour spent mastering a skill, every repetition, every failure that forces you to adjust is carving new patterns into your brain. He describes mastery as an alchemical process, the transformation of thought into matter. When you study, when you practice deliberately, you are literally shaping yourself from.
When you feel powerless, Green says there's one rule to remember: enter action with boldness. It's one of his most famous principles, not just a tactic, but a philosophy of life, because timidity is a kind of death. The timid fail before they even begin. They wait for the right moment, the perfect plan, the ideal conditions, and while they wait, bolder people pass them by. Green has seen it countless times, in business, in art, in life. The cautious spend years talking about what they'll do someday, while the bold act today. The bold step forward even when they're not ready. They speak up when others stay silent. They take the risk, knowing they might fail, but refusing to let fear dictate their destiny. That single decision, to act, creates a force of its own. Boldness has a gravity to it. It draws attention, resources, and people toward it. Even if the idea isn't perfect, even if the execution is messy, the sheer energy of decisive movement compels others to notice. Green calls this the self-fulfilling dynamic of confidence. When you project certainty, others respond to it. People admire boldness because it signals strength. It makes them want to believe in you. The hesitant, on the other hand, drain energy from a room. They send signals of doubt and insecurity, and the world mirrors.
For young men today, Green's advice cuts deeper than ambition or success. It's about identity, about being comfortable with who you are, and that includes your masculinity. He believes the word masculinity has been twisted in modern culture, wrapped in controversy and misunderstanding. But to him, it's not something toxic or shameful. It's a source of energy, raw, powerful, and ancient. The problem isn't in the energy itself, it's in how you direct it. Strength, competitiveness, drive, and ambition, these are not flaws. They are natural forces written into your biology. They are the same impulses that pushed human beings to explore, to build, to innovate, to lead. But like fire, they can either illuminate or destroy. When left undisciplined, they burn through everything: relationships, careers, and peace of mind. But when harnessed, when focused through purpose, they can move mountains. A real man, Green says, isn't someone who dominates others or hides behind bravado. He isn't loud, cruel, or controlling. True masculinity has nothing to do with arrogance or ego. It's about control. Control over yourself, your impulses, your anger, your insecurities. The ability to act with calm strength rather than emotional chaos. To respect others, especially women, not because you're afraid of being judged, but because you respect yourself. Respecting women, he says, is not weakness. It's a sign that you're secure in your masculinity. It means you don't need to put anyone down to prove who you are. You can stand firm in your identity without turning it into a weapon. When Green was younger, he admits he was intensely competitive, even aggressive. He loved to win. He could feel that primal energy coursing through him, that hunger to prove himself. But instead of letting it spill outward and harm others, he found a channel for it. He poured it into his writing. Skill is the truest form of alchemy. It is the art of turning the ordinary into the extraordinary, of transforming confusion, failure, and self-doubt into clarity, confidence, and power. Alchemy, in the old world, was about turning base metals into gold. But Green reminds us that the real alchemy happens inside the human mind. You take raw material, frustration, uncertainty, inexperience, and through years of discipline, forge it into mastery. Mastery is not a gift. It's not inherited or granted by luck. It's built,
in silence, in repetition, in moments when no one else is watching. It's built when you choose to keep going after everyone else stops. While the world chases shortcuts and applause, the true craftsman works in the shadows. The builder, the writer, the thinker, the fighter, they all know the same truth. Skill must be earned molecule by molecule, hour by hour. There are no miracles, only momentum. The world opens itself to those who have done that work, the quiet ones who have been sharpening their tools in obscurity. Because when the moment comes, they don't flinch. They've already paid the price. They've already built the foundation, brick by brick. When you have skill, you stop wandering in circles. The fog of doubt lifts. You know where to go because your work shows you the way. Skill gives you a compass, a sense